Um, Good afternoon, everybody. I am doing a video for you guys in correlation to something that actually happened to me on my way home from work, and it hit a nerve, it upset, and it kind of made me very emotional. After I got off of work today, I went to my local Giant down the street and I obtained a few items, not nutritional, a few items for health and beauty, if you will. And coming out, there was a gentleman who had been in the parking lot, away from all the cars, towards the end of the parking lot, and I saw him actually coming in, and he was talking to two younger females who apparently, you could tell they weren't teenagers, but they were young adults, and you could tell that they were pretty far ahead in as far as class standards, if you will. I'm not going to say what substantially makes them appear to be better in wealth via appearance, but appearance can be misleading, very mischievous. So from what I saw, the young man didn't look at all suspicious to me in a negative way, or he didn't appear to be at all harmful to society at hand. And coming out, I saw him again, and he was this time coming closer towards the Giant, to the side parking lot, and that's where all the carts are. That's where I was going to. That's the side that I came in. And apparently he had just got done discussing something with an older gentleman who, in return, while they were dispersing from obviously the area they were conversing, the older gentleman seemed very perturbed. He kept looking back at him on our way to the car. He kept looking at him, and I was just like, oh wow, I wonder what kind of conversation those two had and that made him, appear to look upset. And I'm looking at this guy like, does he want change for school stuff? And how they have those I don't know, fundraisers, parking lot fundraisers, where they send somebody and they sell candy or magazines or some shit like that. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's maybe what this guy was doing. And here he comes towards me. So I'm like, oh, it's my turn. I get to see what all this is about. And he gets up to me and he says, he doesn't even stop me or try to introduce himself. He just blurts out. He says, "You are an astonishing, young-looking African-American male." And, me, I'm like, it's something that I've always gotten, so, it means nothing on the humble. It really means nothing to me. I get it all the time. I've gotten it my whole life. So it means nothing to me when someone compliments how I look, as far as this astonishing type of way, especially coming from another male. It really does not do anything for me. But in this instance, I was like, this guy really just came out of his mouth at me. He doesn't know me from Jack and Jill. But in order for me to respect him and, be very gracious of what he said, I said, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I didn't always look like this. So I always say that. I didn't always look like this, and everybody knows I always haven't looked like this. So it's good to hear, somebody from an opposite walk of life just come up to you out of nowhere and just give you that kind of compliment. So then I thought, okay, well, here comes the line, here comes the punchline, here comes the delivery. I thought he was buttering me up, and he goes, I used to look like you at one moment in time. And I go, you used to look like me at one moment in time. So it starts that rung my intelligent light bulb that goes off in my head. You used to look like this at one point in time. What happened that you don't look like this anymore? And he goes, well, honestly, I've been living out on the street for about 120 days now. I say 120 days you've been living out on the street. So, me, I'm not judgmental. I don't assume or presume anything from a stranger. It's common that apparently in society, people deem homeless people to be drug addicts, junkies, alcoholics, prescription drug users, abusers, or if you will. And to me, it upsets me when people judge homeless people with that, because one, I was almost in the same situation as this middle-aged man. I was almost in the same situation as him. 3-4 years ago, I'd say maybe 4 years ago, or 3.5 to 4 years ago. And I was prepared mentally to be in that type of life. I mentally prepared myself to literally put myself out on the street and struggle and starve and hustle my way and still maintain a job so that I could afford whatever I could afford to get me in a better place, away from the place that I was in, and the conflict that I was going through. It was a choice for me. It was a choice. I wanted to choose to live that life. I was not physically prepared for it, but mentally I was prepared. I was full on. And here's this middle-aged man complimenting me, and he tells me he is and has been homeless for 120 days, and I could tell he was by the backpack and the condition of his shoes, his clothes. Of course, everybody has this idea that homeless people, they walk around with ragged clothes and they have cuts and holes and stuff. And let's be realistic. Somebody who is homeless and is a sane and very stable person mentally, they wouldn't be homeless and have raggedy clothes on. Those are the people who've been homeless and they really have no other outlets. They really jump from shelter to shelter every day of their lives and have nowhere else to go. And those are what you call experienced homeless people, because you can clearly tell by the baggage and everything else. But him, you could tell he really wasn't put in this situation. He was really dealt the hand that he was dealt with and had no other choice. So me picking his brain to see if this is authentic, to figure out if this is authentic or not, I say, so what is it that you're asking of me? What was the purpose of you stopping me and talking to me? And he goes, well, honestly, I'm gonna say this, and the compliment was genuine. I really meant it, but I don't want you to think because I paid you the compliment now I want something in return. Really, the older gentleman who I was talking to before you, he told me that I should take my bum ass to work and I should try going and stay with relatives, and he was really giving me a hard hand because I asked him for 10 cents for me to complete my bus fare so I can get downtown and stay somewhere tonight, so when Monday comes I can do what I need to do as far as being prepared to leave the state. And I go, well, so all you were asking for was 10 cents? And he says, yeah, all I asked him was for 10 cents. I said, well, that's unfortunate that he would react that way. You were forward. You clearly are honest from how you're talking to me about your intentions. So I stopped him and I said, well, you know what? I'll give you 10 cents so that you can do what you have to do. And he said, I thank you so much. There are people in the world, he said he had realized even the first week into him being homeless, he had realized how unforgiving, unhumbled, and how people are just not as gracious as they used to be. And, you know, him, as he said, he used to dress like me. So I guess that means that he's privileged, or you know, he's got himself together, or was together at one point in time, and he doesn't anymore. So for him, it was an eye-opening experience as he was telling me about how he feels about people nowadays, and it really disturbed me because I was ready to put myself out on the street. Now, mind you, I was ready to put myself on the street and still have a job, so I wouldn't have to ask for money from nobody. I honestly, I have too much pride as an Aries. I have way too much self-respect, and I feel like when you ask people for money, which is sad now, when you ask people for money because you don't have it, you feel like you're degrading yourself, when really, honestly, we're all human beings on the same planet. We all need money to live. How dare us, how dare people, how dare you as a human being to this man next to him think that you're too great to offer him change, or, you know, give him change, you know, change that you're probably going to throw in a jar and probably give to your grandkids 6 months from now, or your niece or nephew a year from now. And that pile of change continues to pile and change up until you one day decide, oh, I don't have any more room for this change, so I'm going to take it to a coin store, use it for some gas money. But instead, you neglect another life on this planet for the next 24 hours over 10 cents. 10 cents? Like, I have enough 10 cents. 10 cents worth of coins, 10 cents worth of pennies, 10 cents worth of nickels in my jar that I keep right over there on the top of my cabinet. I have enough to, at least, if that's the same circumstance that other homeless people want to get, that are into and are trying to accomplish with 10 cents, I can feed them all. I can get them all out. Cool, great. Get yourself in a better situation. But for someone to deny this person because they feel like they aren't doing everything they should be doing, or haven't taken the proper avenues to get themselves, you know, in a better situation. Instead, they're just out here asking people for money. That's very ugly of a person to judge him in his situation. I was so upset and I was so furious that I actually volunteered to stay out with him on the streets for 24 hours. Because African American culture right now is in a horrible place. African Americans spiritually, mentally, right now, in this day and age, you all are lost souls. Lost souls to society. And society has had us for the past 30 plus to 40 years. 30 plus to 40 years of societal dominance of the African American culture. Why? Because we are African Americans. African Americans. Descendants from Africa, maybe, yes. All of us. Not some of you, all of you. Even Caucasians. There's African American. There's African, in most of us in this country. But people think it's ugly to claim. People think it's shameful to claim. When light-skinned people are saying, oh, I don't have any black in me. I have Jamaican or Caribbean or, you know, something like that. It's like, really? So quick to denounce the fact that you have no descendants of Africa in you. It's perplexing. It's disturbing. But you all are in a bad place. And you have this Michael Brown situation going on. That's another video I'm going to do. Oh, I got another video coming for that, because now I'm to the point where I've sat by and I've watched all of my Facebook friends, all of their Facebook friends, you know, when they share stuff. I look at stuff, I read comments, I really get into it. And when I have something to say, I say it. Or if I don't, I just let it go. But I've been watching. I've been watching for a very long time, because I know things that most people don't. I see things that most people don't. And I've tried sending subliminal messages a long time ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. That was when I was wise and I cared about my fellow classmates, fellow friends, and I wanted them to see. But over time, I got so impatient. I got tired. There was no motivation for me anymore at that point, because people want to be so quick to deny the truth, because the truth hurts. The truth it creates fear in people who don't know the known. The unknown is a fear for the human conscious. What people don't know, they are afraid of, especially when it's overwhelming evidence, overwhelming circumstances. When there's so many things that point you in a direction that you have no clue about, you become afraid, you become wary, you become consciously aware of the unknown, and that scares the human brain. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I'm not an easily scared person. I hate fucking bugs. Now, certain bugs scare me because they can kill me. That's what I'm scared of. But things that I don't know about, things I'm ignorant of, I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of it. I question it. I'm curious of it. I want to know the authenticity. I want to know if it's real. But in this situation, here's an African American male, depending on his brother, if you will, as it once were, or his sister with a AH at the end of the ST, not ER. And we shun each other out, or you shun each other all out. You don't want to see the next man doing better. That's the part that really made me emotional. You really couldn't give this man 10 cents because you feel like he wasn't doing enough or hasn't done enough in your view, when you don't know jack shit about this dude. You don't know jack shit about him or what he's going through. Look, it was just fucking raining all day. I mean, and he clearly was wet. Like, clearly was wet. And I was so hurt because I saw myself in him. I saw myself in him. Not so much of the money, not asking him for money, not asking people for money, but I saw myself in the same situation, out in the rain, out on the streets, walking all day, tired, not being able to eat the full amount of nutrition that my human body would need to consume to be deemed the daily supplement. You know, it is hard seeing African Americans put in the situations that we're in against society, but you all wonder why society treats you the way you do. Because you all aren't willing to change for yourselves, nor for your next brother or sister, or for your neighbor, or for your neighborhood, or your community. But what you will do is, you will cry, you will shout, you will have no problem being brash and abrasive and being very opinionated. You don't have a problem doing that, do you? But you don't have the bone or the dignity that you would need, if you want to get ahead in this world, to progress, to change your environment, to change your neighbor, to change your brother or your sister, make you a better human being, put you in a better place mentally and emotionally. Because being kind to others can really do something for your emotions that you don't even know consciously, but subconsciously it does something to you. And it's all good. A situation over 10 cents made me cry. Made me cry. I gave this man $3. I figure the 10 cents, cool, you use that for whatever he needs. But that extra dollar could be a can of soda, which he really shouldn't be drinking, but if that's what he chooses to drink, to cure that parchness that he has. 'Cause let me tell you, you out on the street walking around a lot, you get thirsty. You're burning calories. You're burning a lot of energy, water. He needs water. Give him an extra dollar for that. Give him $1. Get something from 7-Eleven just to put in his belly. It's stuff like that I think about. Especially, me being out on my own. I don't have money to be given to people and left and right. But I know 10 damn cents ain't gonna fucking kill me. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like it over a stranger or somebody who I think is a junkie. Because at the end of the day, what they do with that 10 cents, that's on them. But if I got it and they ask for it, they ain't gotta give me a sad story. I'm gonna give it. Because they're not, just because they ask for the money, that don't mean they owe me an explanation. That don't mean they owe me anything. I feel sick when I see all of these black people, African Americans, going off on Facebook about this Mike Brown situation and like white America and racism is alive and well today. Yes, it is. Always has been. Always. And it don't take a cop or a few cops or hundreds of cops killing those 400 unarmed African Americans since 2007 or 9 or whatever it was. It don't take that to recognize that racism is alive and well. It don't take that. What I ask of all my Facebook friends, what I ask of you is, if you have it, give it. Even if it's 25 cents that you're going to give to your kid to have some gum when y'all go to the mall in a couple hours. Or if you're on your way down to Raven Stadium right now and you got a couple extra coins for parking 10 miles away from the stadium, because you ain't getting no fucking parking around the corner. But be that as it may, you have it, give it to somebody in need. It is not going to hurt you as a human being. It's disgusting that we won't help each other, but you want change in your community. You want change in life. People, change does not come overnight, and change is not going to come for you because you feel like you deserve it. You have to change you first. And speaking of challenges, I challenge you all to give something. Doesn't even have to be money. I challenge you to give someone who is homeless, obviously homeless, give them a bottle of water. Give them a banana. Give them something. There are families who are being put out of homes, who are being put out of apartments, because they are put in situations where they rely on government assistance. And because they rely on government assistance, they do get comfortable, and their motivation to get off it and strive for better and get other sources of income, they lose that and they rely on that income. And I've seen it When there are children involved, it really hurts me because they don't know what's going on. They don't know how they got into this situation. They don't know why they have to keep moving from place to place. They don't know why this stuff is out on the corner Monday when they get out of daycare or school. They come home and there's Mama and Uncle Joe and everybody helping get their stuff off the street or out of the apartment. It makes me so upset that we won't help each other out. I've got family who've come from worse. I've seen it all. People look at me, they see me now. They don't see that. They don't see where you come from. They see where you are now. And I want them to see where I am now. I want you to see that. Because I'm proud of what I came from, what I know, to where I am now, and what I'm doing and where I'm going. I'm proud of all that. Now, all you people out there who judge and won't lift a finger for anybody but you and whoever you deem, be ashamed of yourself. I don't give a fuck who you are and how well I know you, or if I don't know you and you feel the need to want to comment and say something, to rebuttal what I'm saying, but shame on you. Shame on you for not helping someone else try to get what they need to get. I've been in situations where I needed the help, but I'm too prideful to ask. I'm too prideful to ask. That's my hard-headedness. That's my fault. But when there are people out here who get up at 4 o'clock in the morning because they gotta get dressed and they gotta get their belongings, they gotta get their bags, and they gotta leave the home that they call for that night at 4 o'clock in the morning, out here in this 40-degree weather in the morning, 30-degree weather in the morning. So now they gotta carry around extra coat or extra hoodie all day, every day. Because when it rains, what are you going to cover up with? And you out on the street and you can't get into a shelter. There are no shelters. I think there are day shelters anyway, that just allow you to come during the day. There's none of that. The hardest ones is the hardest ones I've ever seen that really brought me to tears. I saw a woman out in the middle of Druid Hill, and she had her 2 kids with her. Somebody who don't have a heart, somebody who don't care, somebody who's selfish. They would drive by and be thinking in their mind, she's using their kids as a ploy to get money off of people. Be that as it may, you don't know what that woman's story is. I can tell you about a story. That woman has to get her and her child out, or kids, child. Let's just use one child. Has to get her and her child up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Get them to what I would say sink bathe for about 5 minutes. Because all you got is 15 minutes to get your shit. So you got 5 minutes to take a quick little bath, share the deodorant that that the mother has, comb their hair, brush their hair, whatever the case is. Get themselves presentable enough to go outside, so that when they go outside, nobody won't look at them and judge them when they on the street, getting where they gotta go, or just aimlessly walking around. And while they aimlessly walking around, that mother is dying on the inside. That mother is mentally worn out. She is physically unable. That child is confused. That child is lost. That child is now permanently scarred at the fact that that child does not have what other children have. Just strollers and toys when they walk on the sidewalks, gadgets and iPhones and iPads. They don't have that. All they got is that coat that mom got to get that kid. So when they out on the street at 4 o'clock in the morning, they got to go somewhere. So let's go sit at the park. That kid will have a park as the only memory of enjoyment in that child's life. That is, if that does not emotionally scar you, You have no soul. You have no soul. You have no soul. That mother has to eat that every day. Every day. She's got to eat every mile they walk. She's got to eat every piece of sweat. She got to eat every tear that child sheds because they don't know what's going on while they sit on a bench for hours. They sit on a bench for hours waiting for a bus that mom said was coming and it don't ever come. So she gets up and she says, well, we might as well start walking. Where we going, baby? And they start walking. And they start walking. And that child realizes that they stop in the middle of an intersection where there's ongoing traffic and off-going traffic in opposite directions. And she holds out her whatever mechanism she wants to use to collect change to feed this child breakfast. People are so wrapped up in the appearance of things, you don't know what that woman had to do last night to feed her and her child dinner. You don't know what that woman had to do to get her and her child from point A to point B. I am so sick. I am so tired. I'm so emotionally damaged from how black people treat each other. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Because if it was me and my mother, if it was me and my mother out on that corner, on the middle of traffic every day, and my stomach is in pain, and my mother is physically noticeably tired, and I don't know why, I would expect somebody to stop and at least acknowledge it. That's the part that hurts me the most. The part that hurts me the most is black people are so selfish. You all won't even take the time or day to acknowledge someone. Acknowledge someone. Acknowledge the fact of what you see. It is so disheartening. I have no faith. I have no faith in humanity.